Hey fam, welcome to our home. I'm Dr. Damon, and this is my beautiful wife,
Shantae,
and we are the
the Smiths.
Smiths. This is Ritual or Poor Marriage Podcast, where we are contributing to the health and wealth of marriages. And so today we have a treat for you because they are special to us.
Yes.
Today we have the Lou crew with us, all the way from Jackson, Mississippi.
Yay.
Let's give a warm welcome to Judge Kenny Lewis and his beautiful wife, Vickie Lewis.
Thank you for
Hey
having
guys,
us. We're excited
welcome.
about being here.
We are so excited to have you joining us
Welcome.
today. Welcome to our home. This is just a treat for us because you guys have a special place in our heart,
Yes.
and you get to be our first guest.
Yes.
And so this is
Very first
this is
guest.
special.
It's very special.
This is special. And so we're excited because you guys have a story that really resonates with us. And we wanted you all to be able to share it with the world because we believe that someone out there can, their life can be impacted by just a simple nugget that you may drop. Right? And so we are extremely excited, and we're going to just jump right in.
We're going to jump right in.
We're
Let's
going
do it.
we're going to have a conversation just like we would if we were sitting around like we do.
That's right.
Just like we do.
That's right.
All right? You ready, sweetie?
I'm ready. Let's
You
go.
ready?
Yep. Let's go.
All right, DJ, drop that beat. No DJ?
No DJ.
All right.
No
well,
DJ.
Okay. All right, go ahead, sweetie.
So tell us about the first time you met, right? We know that's the whole story in itself. The first time you met, and how long did it take you to decide when you were going to get married?
You want me to handle that?
Of course.
Okay, well, good. I don't mind telling.
DJ dropped it. D.
Drop that beat.
Our story starts like this. We met in a club. It was Club Casanova in Jackson, Mississippi. Went out with a friend of mine with no intentions, of course, of meeting a wife. Just looking for somebody.
Looking for
And
somebody.
this beautiful, slim, nicely built Redbone walks in. And I remember what she had on. She had on black shoes. She had on black biking shorts. She had a black halter top. And when she walked in, I noticed I could see the light because she had a major thigh gap. I like that.
We gonna keep it real, right?
And I was like, wow. And I stood on the wall, and I was there with a friend of mine, and I told him, I said, man, you see her? And unbeknownst to me, he was actually looking at her friend, but we didn't know them. And long story short, I watched her throughout the night. She was a very good dancer, and I was just overtaken by her dancing moves and how she was very athletic looking. And I was always attracted to the athletic type built young lady. And after everything was over, I walked out, and I remember walking up to her, didn't know her name, and just kind of gracefully touched her on the posterior.
Oh, you put it nicely.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Gracefully.
Gracefully and posterior.
And even from that point, what made a difference in who Vickie is, even as today, she was different because she turned around and she was like, "Don't do that."
Oh, she was about to steal you.
Yeah, she was, and I wasn't used to that. I mean, of course, I've never had a problem with getting a female companion, but someone to resist me made a difference, and it, for lack of words, it turned me on for some reason. And I was like, "Well, can I get your number? Can I come see you?" And all of that, and then we went from there, and she invited me to her apartment the next day, and went to her apartment, and the lady that answered the door. Now, I've never been drunk. I don't do any drugs, never done drugs, never done alcohol. But I thought for sure I must have drank something, because the one that came to the door didn't look like nothing like the one I saw.
They did the okie doke.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I sit there with this woman for about 20 minutes, and then we're just talking, and I'm like, Lord, how can I get out of this apartment without being rude? Because this is not what I saw at the club. Well, about 20 minutes later, she comes out the back, and she said, I knew you didn't recognize my face. You was looking at my body. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And but I was glad she came out. And we just started a conversation. We really became friends from that point. And we started dating. I mean, I don't even know the official date that we started dating. We just became friends and started hanging out. And everybody, when they saw her, they saw me. And, even as of today, when they see Vickie, they looking for me. When they see me, they looking for Vickie.
That's
So
right.
that's how our story started. Go ahead, Miss Vickie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So when we left the club that night, I was with my best friend, Pebbles, and she said, "That's us right there."
Yeah.
That's what she said when she
Okay.
saw Ken. She said, "That's us right there." I said, "No." I said, "I don't think so," because I said he never looked at me. And she said, "No." She said, "He the one." So Ken had vibes and Pebbles had vibes, but I was concerned about his approach. So I said he never looked at me.
Okay.
So when he came over to my house the next day, I was so sure of it. That's why I ran the game on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That
So
makes sense.
yeah, so my roommate, which wasn't Pebbles, her name was Annie. My roommate went to the door. I said, "Entertain him." I said, because he did. I said he doesn't know what I look like. So and she did. She went up front. She hung out with him for a little while, and act like she was me. And then after about 20 minutes, I came from out the back, and I said, "What's up?"
So that's how we started.
And he wiped his brow like, thank you, Lord.
That was
Right?
the first time I said, "Thank you, Jesus."
Yeah. So when I walked into the car after he left, and I told my friend, I said, "Nah, he looking for a one night stand." I kept saying it. I said, "He looking for a one night stand." I said, "So I'm not gonna play no games with him." So that's why I came hard like that.
Okay.
It was like, if he's not for real, then it's gonna run him away.
Okay.
But he kept coming, every day. And we lived about 45 minutes apart.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I had to break you in. You was attracted to dark-skinned guys. And you had this saying, or in the community, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
I did.
Yeah.
But you had never tasted white wine until I showed up.
White wine.
So that's how we started dating.
It is.
And we continued to date for years afterwards.
Yeah.
Years of dating?
Yes.
Years of dating?
Yes.
Years
How
of
many
dating.
years?
I think it was about 7.
About 7 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And in between dating, our daughter was born.
Okay.
Kendra was born.
Okay.
And at some point, we actually broke up and went our separate ways. And we found out that, the grass wasn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes it could be astroturf. So we tried that stuff, and then we got back together, and we came together, and hey, here we are, 26 years on the other side.
For rich or for poor.
26 years.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah.
But in the relationship, I was still the immature person before we got married. I was
Okay.
still the one that we were married, but I didn't think marriage was a covenant. I treated as married as being a contract.
Okay.
I could just get out anytime I wanted to.
Right.
I could do what I wanted to do. She didn't read the fine print, And, you know, it was the way I wanted it.
Sure.
And it took me to mature into a real man before I learned how to actually be the husband or be the man that she needed in her life. So what happened even in our relationship, the first 2 years, and we'll just go ahead and get the elephant out.
Might as well.
But there was infidelity in our relationship. Nothing that I'm proud of, but it's amazing how God has turned our mess into our message.
Yes.
We went through that place in our life, and it was a strange place. It was a hard place, and it may be some women out there that's saying, "Well, why did you cheat on a beautiful woman like this? Why did you cheat on a woman that was faithful to you?" And it was all because I was the one that was immature. I had no reason to do it. It was what we were taught in the community. You know, we were celebrated to have as many women as you wanted. Right. You were celebrated. And what I had to learn and understand was those that were celebrating me actually wanted what I had. They were really trying to displace me, to take me out of my love spot, my zone, to replace me. But if you're immature, if you're not a real man, you don't understand that that's the trick of the enemy.
Yeah, and then also in the beginning of our marriage, when we first got married, of course we came in. We already had a daughter, and she was 3.
Okay.
And the breakup was really bad, you know, before we got married.
Okay.
So we went about a year and 6 months, 7 months of just like pretty much like no contact. You know, we were doing what needed to be done, you know, for our daughter. Okay. But it wasn't a revolving door. Okay. We were really
co-parent.
Yeah, we were broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was a point in our relationship when we were dating, there was some second guessing.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know how it is when it's time to start making major moves and the right decisions. The enemy gets busy. Mm-hmm. So Ken started having second thoughts, you know, about if he was ready, if he really wanted to do this, and I'm the type of girl that you know, if this ain't what you want, then I have enough courage and confidence in my own self to where then, you know, you go. And I told him, I said, even when we were dating in the beginning, it took me 4 months to even kiss Ken because I was really like testing the waters. And I want to say this to single women. You teach a person how to treat you in the beginning of the relationship. Mm-hmm. So we dated. He came to see me almost every day. And I had my own place. Okay. So I was free to do whatever I wanted to do because I was under my own rules.
Right.
But I wasn't looking for a good time. I was looking for a good man.
Okay.
And I had gotten to the point where I wasn't selling myself short. Mm-hmm. So Ken came and went. You know, we dated, and I enjoyed his company. I was actually falling for him. I fell for him way before I let him know, you know. But I had standards and I had boundaries.
Okay. And let me add to that. And someone may be asking, you know, I say this to young ladies when we are counseling or discussing marriage. If you want to keep the man, keep yourself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we think we have to give ourselves to the man to keep the man. Mm-hmm. But if you keep the man, if you keep yourself, because men are looking for a standard. They're looking for a difference. Even when we go and buy cars, when we buy shoes or clothes, even though we know that there's a manufacturer that makes these items, we want to have something that's different from everybody else.
Right.
So when we're looking for somebody that we can come in a covenant with, we always want a standard. We may not have a standard, but we're looking for that standard. And keep yourself, you'll keep the man. You give yourself away, you'll run the man away. And Vickie had that standard. It was just funny about the relationship. She was living with a roommate,
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, girl,
It was a lady.
yeah. I said, it took you 4 months to kiss me. I said, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I said, you mean you don't want all of this?
Yes.
I'm trying to give all of this to you and you don't want
See,
this?
you were sure about yourself.
Oh, I was
He was
confident as
very,
well.
he was very, very confident.
But
Yes.
but the whole time, what she was doing, she was training me how to treat her. She was instilling in me that she wasn't a fly by night. That if she wouldn't give herself to me, I knew within myself, even if I walked up on her with another guy, that she wasn't just somebody that everybody could have. And we started training even our daughter. We would say, be the young lady that everybody wants, but nobody can have. And that's the best depiction I could say of her mom, is because her mom had a standard, and that standard trained me how to treat her.
We tried to teach our son that too,
Yeah, but it didn't work.
No, that don't work with
But
boys.
praise God for grace and mercy.
so during that time, when we actually, start getting romantically involved and all of that, we dated for a while. He was in school, I was in school. We were both in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would come to his football games. I was doing all of the girlfriend stuff, And
So this was pre-Christian.
Yes.
oh yeah, most definitely. This was still the club
This the
mindset.
club, man. Yeah. This the hot boy mode right here.
Hot boy.
Yeah.
Hot girl summer.
Yes, yes. So we started growing together, but then it got to a point in our relationship after we had a Kendra. I started wanting more, and I'm just speaking from my own perspective. I started wanting more. Good just wasn't good enough anymore.
Okay.
So then that's when I actually started developing my own relationship with the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I started developing my own relationship with the Lord, then my standards went to another level. And there were things that we were doing that I just didn't want to do anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't want to continue to be his girlfriend. I desired more. I wanted more for me, but I also wanted more for my daughter. So then we ran into another crossroad where we both had to make decisions.
Right. So before you go there, did you guys hear what she said? So when good is not good enough,
Yes.
that means the first step needs to be, maybe I need to be introspective and look at what I need to become better so that I can figure out what's out there that I'm looking for, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah,
all the
yeah.
sense. Yes.
I would title this as, in our relationship we started to grow apart
Okay.
because I wanted more.
You stopped conforming to my way. You stopped conforming to the way that I was trying to lead you. And I had no leadership ability at that time because I was still an immature male. I was a grown boy is what I was.
Yeah.
And you started gathering a relationship with the Lord.
Right. So I started, going to church, going to Bible study. I started taking my daughter, and change started happening in my life.
Okay.
Okay. So Ken, because I scaled back on, the sexual activities and all that kind of stuff, he would say, "Well, I have needs,"
Most men do.
yeah.
And she had the audacity to tell me, well, go ahead and do what you got to do, brother. But I'm not going with you.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do. But I have, for lack of words, I have standards. And I know who I am now. And I know whose I am. And I saw the transformation in her life. And it pricked curiosity into my life after I saw the transformation in her life.
Right. And both of us are headstrong. I'm an alpha
Speak for
female.
yourself.
No, you're an alpha
No, just
male.
kidding. Go ahead.
I'm an alpha female. He's alpha male, but I'm the type of chick that when I kind of make my mind up about something,
Yes.
you can really consider it. That's what you can consider it done. I'm pretty much going to stand on it. So I scaled back, and then and then we broke up because he had needs, and I had decided that I wasn't gonna be his need filler anymore. I'm desiring more. So the conversation I remember having, and again I'm talking because I'm going from my perspective, but I told him, I said, I know what I want, and I know the direction that I'm ready to go in.
Okay.
I was ready to build a family. I was ready to build something new. I was ready to do something different. And I said, so you're free to do whatever you got to do to get yourself in the position where you want what I want.
Okay.
All right. And I said, so we departed, and he was free to do him, and I was free to do me. I said, but if somebody comes that's going in the direction that I'm going, I'm going to get on that train. So that was our
Yes.
that was our decision. Those were the decisions that we made at the Crossroad. So during that time, and here we go again, y'all. I come out the hood, right? So I know how to play the game. So even when we were not together, he would call me, and he said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm on the other line. I have to call you back." you know. And then he was like, "Were you talking to a dude?" And I said, "Of course." You
She
know.
lied. She was lying. She had to repent.
And then he would call me sometimes, and he would say, what's up? What you doing?" And I said, "I'm actually going out tonight." And I would let somebody else take me out, and I would, let somebody else. I was talking to other people on the phone, all that kind of stuff, because like I said, I knew the direction that I was going, and I couldn't be in a position where I wanted Ken, I needed Ken more than I needed this transition, because I was transitioning
Yeah.
in my life. I was transitioning, and so I put him on the back burner, and he had me on the back burner. So everybody was free to do them, right? So at that particular time, I started working 2 jobs, and I got back in school, all that stuff. So I was establishing a career, because now I have a daughter to raise.
Right.
So my daughter shifted my life. She pushed me to a place of maturity that I couldn't take myself. And so we broke up. We went our separate ways. And then as time progressed, we both decided that we were the ones for each other.
Well, one of the biggest things that happened to me was the fact that I had a daughter. And I just couldn't grasp to think that another man would raise my daughter. And so I had to look within myself and say, well, it's a total package. If I want my daughter, I got to want Vickie. And I struggle with that because, again, in the neighborhood, in the hood, you're not celebrated with covenant.
Right.
You're always celebrated with contract.
Right.
And I wanted this. I wanted a covenant with her, but I didn't know how to receive it. I was still that little man boy, and I didn't know what that all entailed. And when I made a decision to, okay, we're going to get this thing back together, we started dating again.
We did.
And we started going to church together. She
did.
stopped telling me about me, and she started telling the Lord on me, and I didn't like that, y'all.
Yeah.
Because the Lord would do stuff to me.
He started running to preachers.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of strange things that started taking place, because it was really our time for change.
And let me say this, and this may be good for someone out there, especially a young lady. Or young man, stop telling the other person all of their bad. Stop complaining and start praying. Because if you really truly believe in Christ, believe that He can do anything but fail. I'm an example of Vickie stopped talking to me and started talking to him, and he filtered what she was saying to me.
Yeah, because you think you can change somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of times as women, we really think we can change somebody. We'll say, yeah, I understand he's doing this, and that, but I can change that.
But what I do, I'm sorry, but what I do like is that he had to make a decision.
Yeah.
He did.
He had to make a decision because he says, I want my daughter.
Yeah.
You wanted your daughter, you wanted to be with your daughter, but in order to really have your daughter, you had to make a decision. Do I want to have her as well?
Yes.
Do I want to have both of them?
That's
Yes.
right.
So that was a that was good.
Yes.
So because you had to make the choice. She knew where she stood
Yes.
as far as what she wanted. So you had to rise to the occasion to what she wanted.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you stood your ground on what you needed and who you wanted in your life, because a lot of times as women we're willing to change who we are just for the man to be in our life.
That's
Yeah.
right. Because we're afraid to lose.
That's it.
And the fact, the truth of the matter is you're losing anyway.
Yes.
You're not winning.
When you conform to someone's way that's not Christ-like, you lose.
Yeah.
You have to be transformed. And I'm just telling you, I wouldn't be saved today. I wouldn't be married today without Vickie being transformed by the renewing of her mind through Christ. I saw right before my eyes, because I seen her dancing on the speakers. I seen her. She was really a really good dancer. And but I've seen that transformation take. I've seen that maturation process take place in her, and it was attractive to me. And I didn't even know I wanted that, but it became attractive to me because I had never seen it. The women I dealt with, one of my friends' mom would say, "Well, yes, girl," because nobody would never tell me no. And I ran into one that told me no
Yes.
for all the right reasons. And I heard a elderly man tell me one time, he said, there is one woman that every man will change for. And when a man mature enough and find that one woman, guess what? He'll change for her. And I'm just telling y'all, that's why I'm sitting here today with her, because she had standards. She didn't allow me to make her conform to my way, which was the wrong way. But she had a standard, and she was real consistent with that standard. Because sometimes we'll say out our mouth what we want, but yet we act some type of way.
That's right.
We act differently than what we're saying.
That's right.
But she was consistent. Her mouth and her action, they collaboratively worked together. They was in harmony. And that was so attractive to me, and I didn't even know that's what I was looking for. So I decided to get saved. She was saved, and we ended up getting married.
We did. So those decisions, making a decision there at that crossroad, then we ran into another crossroad in our relationship, which was in our marriage.
Yes.
So this is the time where Ken was having an affair.
Yes.
And he would come home really late. And at that particular time, I was pregnant with our second child. And he would come home really late. And one night he came in, it was like 3 a.m. And I had enough. Yeah. So that night, I told him again.
Yes, sir.
You about to get up out of here, brother.
Let the door
I
hit you
said-
with a good Lord
I
split.
said, he came home that morning, 3 a.m, something like that. And I told him, I said, is this the best you can do? Because what you're doing right now is not good enough. And I didn't sign up for this. We had just bought a house. We hadn't been too long bought a house. We probably under 5 years in the house. And we both had started our careers, and I was pregnant with our second child. And I said, what you're doing is not good enough. And if this is the best you have, if this is the best you can bring to the table, it's not good enough for me. So I said, you have to, in the morning, to decide what you want to do, because me and Kendra were out the door in the morning.
So,
But let me tell you this part.
okay.
There were some more stipulations to that.
Okay.
I said, we're gonna sell this house, because if I have to start over, you're gonna have to start over. And I said, and this baby, I will not have it.
Okay.
I said all of that, and I turned over and I went to sleep.
So you had an aha moment basically where you had came to an awareness, right? And then brutal honesty had to kick in where you sat him down and said, this is what it's going to be. And if things don't change, then this is what I'm going to do. So there was an awareness, there was honesty, and then there was an action that had to take place. And so that's what we like to call an aha moment.
Yes.
And so it sounds like that's what you had in this instance where you sat them down and said, things have to change, or if they don't, not only are you going to lose me,
But you're gonna lose everything.
but you're going to lose everything.
Yeah.
Everybody just start over.
And a lot of times I don't think men or women actually think about that before they step out. Like, this could cost me everything,
Right.
Yes.
right? That's not the thought process. It's, if I get away with it, I'm good. But if I don't, she'll probably still take me back,
Right.
right? Not, it's going to cost me everything.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so it sounds like that was the place that you were in where you let him know, like, if this is what it's going to be, it's going to cost you everything.
Well, you're exactly right. If I had ever gotten to the point where I calculated what it would cost me, of course, I probably would have never done it. But like you said, I was so good at being a cheater. I was so good at being a liar that I had mastered it. So this was just another case file on my desk, for lack of words. And I knew I've lied myself out of so many uh, uh, places, situations, that this was just another situation. All I had to do was just lie. But when that conversation took place, it was a heart wrenching, but it was a heart changing conversation. Because again, I did not want to lose my daughter. I did not want to leave my daughter to someone else to rear her. But at this point in time, now we're married, and I didn't want to lose Vickie. And I really, be honest with y'all, I don't even know why I was still out there running wild and loose and just doing whatever I wanted to do. And probably what you said, Doctor, is that
Association, too.
my association, I was celebrated to do that. Here I am as a police officer and patrolling the streets, and women just flocked to the uniform. Well, I thought they were flocking to me, but they was flocking to the authority that was the grace that was on my life. And here again, in my immature state of mind, I thought it was me again that I had it going on. But I had to grow up. So I started having conversation with the Lord, unbeknownst to Vickie. And like I said, she started talking to the Lord. He would filter her conversation to me and would tell me about me. And not only would he tell me about me, but he gave me avenues to get out of what I was in. And I accepted the challenge, and I ended up getting saved.
Well, that next morning, he woke. Well, I don't even know if he went to sleep that night, but about 6 a.m, he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "I want my family."
Yes.
Yeah, and when he said that, I believed in my heart that he meant that. And even though I felt like I had to take a stand for the family, right? When he said what he said, it put him back in the position to take the stand for the family. Because at that particular time where he wasn't leading, it forced me to be the leader of the home.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had one thing I loved about Ken, even when we were dating and our whole transition, he's always been an excellent leader. An excellent leader. And I enjoyed his leadership because it took so much pressure off of me. Because I was like the oldest, and I carried the weight. As growing up, I carried the weight for like my siblings and stuff.
Okay.
And his leadership was super attractive to me because it alleviated me of leadership roles that I didn't have to take anymore. So it was a relief for me.
Right.
So some of the decisions that he was making were not good decisions. They were some were selfish decisions. But Ken was a great provider. You know, he was strong in areas that I was weak in. So we were a great team. It's just at the beginning of our marriage, now we both understand that the enemy wanted us to abort the process.
Yes.
So it really wasn't about him and it really wasn't about me. It was about now.
Okay.
And the enemy attacked our marriage early
Right.
so that we would abort the process and not become
The now.
or not walk in the purpose God has called us to walk in together. Because during those times when we were making decisions, it wasn't just my decision or his decision, but we had leaders that were advising us along the way, you know, dropping us nuggets through the process, just walking through some of these hard times with us, because the times were so hard that the pressure was so heavy that it would have broken both of us individually. But we had a good support system.
Yes.
And Ken has always been a good guy. He's a good man. He's a good person. But again, I think at that particular time, the influence that he was on a whole lot of softball teams. He was even on a kickball team. He was on a basketball team. And then he was a police officer, you know, that really didn't make a lot of money. So he was working a lot of overtime. So he was really never home. So I remember telling him one time, I was like, look, you just can't play on everybody's team.
You gotta be on the home
You
team.
got to be on the home team. Yeah.
I was like, you gotta pick a team and come home.
Right. So we get in a good place for about 2 years, and what we say in the church, I really got saved.
Yeah, he got saved for real.
I got saved for real. I got filled with the Holy Ghost, and this was my son was born,
Yep.
and my past came back.
Yeah, we had just come back from a family vacation.
Came back from a family vacation, pull up, getting ready to go in the house, and Vickie goes. I pull up at the mailbox, and Vickie gets an envelope out, and it's addressed to her. Well, this envelope has all of the pictures, all the details. Yeah, I know.
Of the affair.
You talking about an aha moment.
Yeah.
But this is a bad aha moment. But it detailed the total, every moment of the 2-year affair. I mean, she didn't leave out nothing.
Yeah.
All of the pictures I had given her, all of the notes I had written her. And we was in such a great place that Vickie didn't even believe it. Vickie was like, somebody harassing you, this somebody you arrested, you know. And she kind of jokingly said that. And as she continued to read it, I said, look, let's put your children in the house and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we were literally driving in from a family vacation.
We were doing, I was completely saved, had left that life alone.
But she wasn't ready to let go.
But she wouldn't let it go.
So let me get this straight. So you received a letter in the mail with all of
the evidence,
the receipts,
honey.
and
Yes,
everything about this affair.
Yes,
he had.
Yes. And I was
because he never
never
admitted to.
No, I was good.
Yeah, he never admitted to having an affair.
I was gonna go to the grave.
He just staying out late,
She didn't
coming
catch me.
in when
She
he
didn't
wanted
catch
to.
me.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to the grave with this one.
So he swept that under the rug.
that's a good question though, because during the process before the process,
Yes.
Yeah.
did you have a sense
yes.
or a feeling?
Oh, yes.
Was it something you talked about, or it didn't come up? Did he just lie his way through it, or what was it?
It was the body language. It was the behaviors in the house. It was the never coming, just never coming home. We were never a priority. He was just busy doing everything but us. And then the coming in really late, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I mean, here we go again. I'm from the hood. I know how all that work, So
And so here we are. I'm clean, and my past comes back to haunt me.
yes.
And we sitting just like we're sitting. Ironically, we're sitting on the couch, and we feed the children, and Vickie says, "Is this true?"
And the lady was pregnant.
And the lady was pregnant. It wasn't. It's not mine.
Yeah.
I just want y'all
That's
to
the first
know.
thing I said. I was like, "Is that your baby?"
Oh my.
Yeah. So all of this is going on, and she says, "Is this true?" And I remember the Lord telling me. He said, "You've never been honest before, but here we are. You in a place where you can try for the first time to be honest." Here go. We're at a pivotal place in our relationship.
Crossroad.
And the enemy is so cruel, where we're in a great place, and the enemy want to bring my path back up to confront me. And I'm gonna just tell y'all, my history was this. My mode of operation was this. When it got hot, I knew how to lie my way out. Well,
He was skillful.
I was very skillful. I had a oily tongue. I could get out. I could elude issues. But I remember the Lord telling me as we sat on the couch, "You got to prefer me over your family." And I was confused. I was like, why would the Lord say that? You're supposed to be about family.
Right.
And he began to tell me, said, you have never been honest before. If you're honest today, I'll use you for the rest of your life. But if you lie, you gonna set yourself back. And I remember looking in Vickie's eyes, and I said, this is a place where I've had a serious repentant heart. I was hurt that this came back, because I hadn't.
Thought he got away.
Well, I was clean. I had repented for it.
Right.
And nothing was going on. We was doing what we was doing. And I remember telling Vickie, I said, "If you leave today and take Kendra, I understand." I said, "But where the Lord has me now, I can't go back." And I said, "This love that I have now, this that God has done to me, I can't lie, even if I tried to." And I said, "I want you to forgive me." And I said, "And I love y'all. And if you leave today, I understand." And I remember her saying, "Are you finished?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm through. It's over." And she said, "You want something to eat?"
I was cooking during that
Well,
time.
at that time,
In our
I thought she was going to go cook some grits and throw them on me or try to kill me or something. But
Making me cry.
she said, "I'm going to bake her something to eat." There's been 26, my son will be 27 on March the 9th. It's been over 26 years ago, and she has never brought that back up. Not only that, but I have never given her a reason to bring that. So it took both of us maturing and working together to get to the place where we are today.
Right. And so one thing about trust, right? Building trust. Trust first starts with honesty. It has to start with honesty and integrity within a relationship.
Yes.
Because if a relationship is built on lies, then you lose all credibility when you try to tell the truth.
Yes.
And what happens is trust is broken.
Yes.
And so you have to figure out, okay, how do we rebuild the trust that was broken? And see, a lot of people are in that place where they're trying to figure out, I'm in a relationship, I'm in a marriage, and I've experienced infidelity. And not only is my heart broken, but my mind and my spirit is broken because I feel as if I can't trust this person I'm sitting next to or that I lay my head next to every night.
Yes.
That's right.
And so when you were going through that process, right, how did you redefine and develop the trust that had been broken and lost? Because I know some time had passed,
Yeah.
but just receiving it, I have to believe that it was like a blow. Even though you knew that it was in the past, you took his word for it, but there was nothing in the back of your head saying, is this still going on? Is it a possibility?
Well, let me tell you my stance. From that day to this, my stance has been to make sure I never put Vickie in that position again.
Okay.
Every day of my life, I make sure that I don't embarrass her. I make sure that I don't ever cause her to feel like her safety net has been diminished. So that was my part. And when she said she forgive me, I vowed from that day even to now to never put her back in that position. Now, what she did was,
Well, what happened that particular day, I didn't feel anything. When I said I forgive you, I really forgave him. Because here we go again, we were both in a place where we were developing as Christians. You know, like we were,
yes,
we wasn't just playing with the word. Ken and I mean, we just got one gear. Whatever we do is just one gear. So we were all in with the ministry, and the word of God was really transforming us. But what happened, because the enemy always has tricks. So when that happened that day, I truly forgave him, and I was done with it because I saw the change. Here we go again, the body language, the behavior, everything was good,
Okay.
and I knew we were in a good place. But what happened was the mailbox was triggering me, and I didn't know it.
Okay.
Because remember, everything happened at the mailbox.
The mailbox.
Yeah. So Ken is he's a routine type of guy. When he come home, he check the mail, he bring the mail in the house, and he's also the type of man that if anything has been moved in our house, he knows it. One day I just turned the speaker like this, and I'm talking about he walked through the door, he went straight to the speaker, turned it back, and just kind of went on with his day. And I was looking at him like, wow. But the mailbox was triggering me, and I didn't know it. So he would go to the mailbox every day. He still goes to the mailbox every day. Sometimes I joke, all right, you triggering me. Yeah. But what happened with me mentally, because my injury went mental. That's what happened. Okay, so, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize it had gone mental. But for months, Ken kept doing what he does. Check the mail, bring the mail in, whatever. About 5 or 6 months later, all of a sudden, y'all, I lost it. I lost it mentally. I lost it physically. I mean, I just lost it. I became very unstable. And my behaviors were totally different from how I would behave if I was behaving in my right mind. Because I usually just deal with stuff, right?
Okay.
So if
and keep in mind now, I'm not doing anything to trigger this.
Right.
No.
This is her spirit, man. The mailbox is still a hurt place. And
that I didn't even realize, I wasn't aware of this.
Yes.
So I became so I was
You engulfed in the suspicion.
I was consumed.
Consumed.
Yeah, I became consumed. So all of a sudden, I stopped trusting Ken. And then I got to the point where I was trying to catch him.
Okay.
Like my mind
And keep in,
convinced me that
yeah, and keep in mind, y'all, I don't know this going on with her.
I didn't
I didn't know she was stalking me. Well, you can't stalk your husband, but
So she,
I didn't know
can.
you.
she
But I didn't
You
know
really
she was
can.
having these issues. But she was in what we said. Her injury, she had been healed, but her injury had went mental.
It did. My injury went mental. So remember in the things that we told y'all earlier, if it was something Ken wasn't doing that I didn't like, I would address it.
right.
That's just me. But this particular time, it was not. I didn't address it. I was consumed with it. So I started circling back. I started checking under the bed. I was checking in the closet. I would get my friend girl and we would get in somebody else's car.
Well, you couldn't address it because I didn't give you any evidence of anything to address.
Right.
This was an
I don't
internal
even know. I
fight.
mean, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was telling my friend girl, the same one that said this us, that's my best friend. So I would call her and say, I think Ken, I was like, we need to follow Ken. So when he would go to work, we would get somebody else's car.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
So you the detective now.
Oh yeah, I was on my job. I was gonna catch him, and we would follow him. I was so convinced
And what would you find?
that he was nothing. But I was so convinced that he was cheating on me. And even when we counsel people, if somebody's mind is made up about something, I'll tell them up front. I don't do the mental, because I already know if it has gone mental, there's nothing I can do to help you until you get past where you are. And then you can circle back and then we can deal with it. But when that thing has gone mental, there's nothing verbally anybody can tell you to kind of shut that down. So I think I went through that for about 3 months.
Yeah.
About 3 months. He didn't even know it. I think we were talking to the church one day, and I was talking about it. It just kind of yeah.
So you didn't notice any change?
I noticed that she would ask me detailed questions. I noticed that I would see her in particular places where I was either doing detail work, security work as a police officer.
I would just
But-
pop up.
But I was so glad to see her. And I was still on my mode of making sure I was wherever I needed to be, because I wanted her to continue to be secure that I was the man that I said I was. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great thing, but she dealing with it.
I was on another page. I was on another page.
Look, I was gonna question your police ability if somebody's following you and you don't know.
Well, it's your wife. So with her following him, showing up, I
I'm
was
good,
glad.
brother. I'm good. Now don't underestimate a sister. I'm good.
But
Did you hear me say I switched cars?
so she dealt with that, and I didn't even know about it. And what we it kind of reminded me of the story in the Bible when Jesus delivered Lazarus. He told Lazarus to come forth. Lazarus was delivered, but he was still bound.
That's right.
And sometimes the Lord can heal you, but you'll still be bound until you get released. And that's what Vickie was dealing with. The Lord had delivered her, but she still had grave clothes on. And until the Lord
Mailbox triggered me.
until the Lord actually had to loose her, I couldn't loose her.
Yeah.
I couldn't prove anything else to her.
Yeah.
But until the Lord loosed her mind, and then at that point she was free. And I think that's where the Lord gave her that saying that she could love me without fear.
Yeah. So that's exactly what was birthed out of that. Love without
Love
fear.
without fear.
Yeah. So that's really like the motto. It's the foundation of who we are.
Yeah.
We were they had asked us to like speak at one of our marriage things that we had yearly. It was a love feast. And I remember the Lord giving me that night, love without fear. And that's when the whole trajectory of our marriage changed.
Okay.
Because we started loving without fear.
Yeah.
I got to the point again where I was not afraid to lose him but I was just going to take full advantage of every day, every moment that we were in, just taking full advantage, just living in the now, you know, and doing the best we could with the children, you know, but just focus in on the now, not getting too caught up too far in the future, definitely not going into the past, but just living in the now. And the Lord said, love without fear.
And let me say this: somebody may be dealing with whether it's infidelity or whatever it is. You've been disappointed. You've been something that's happened in your relationship. Vic and I often say this: is you are a choice away. You choose to forgive. You choose to move on. You choose to cross this bridge. You're just a threshold away from your next move in Christ. Because if you don't walk over that threshold of forgiveness, you will continually stay bound even though you've been delivered.
That's right.
So we made a choice. I made a choice to be faithful. She made a choice.
That I would love him with my
Without
whole
fear.
heart
That's right.
every day.
Yeah.
Loving without fear. And that freed me. That was the thing that broke me from that mental place that the enemy had driven me to.
Okay.
Love without fear. Those were the words that I heard from God. Love without fear. And it got to the point where, because fear has torment, and he that feareth is not made perfect in love.
Right.
So, so it delivered me from a place of being tormented to a place of just living my best life every day, to be free, to not be afraid to love Ken, not be afraid for Ken to love me, but just giving him the best love that I could give him every day, you know, as the Lord leads me.
So was there any counseling involved, or you just feel like the Lord just freed you from that?
He broke it. It was broken.
Yeah, we never did any formal counseling. Vicky alluded to the fact that whatever we do it all out. We don't halfway do anything.
Yeah.
And when I decided to give my life to Christ, she had already had a relationship with the Lord. I was all in.
Yeah.
I wasn't half stepping, and when he delivered me, he loosed me. He some of my friends will say, "There's no way a man can go cold turkey." Well, if it's only one man in America, I'm that man. I went cold turkey, and I'm grateful today that the Lord not only delivered me, but he loosed me from the bound of my past, of my friends that celebrated me in my dead state. So, the Lord, he counseled us.
And don't get it twisted now. His turkey ain't cold.
It's turkey.
All right now.
Yeah, so this is the other thing I was going to say. We didn't sit down. We didn't have sit down counseling, but my leader she was my counselor. Her name, Bishop Betty Irvin. She walked me through those hard places, and she did not allow me to do what I would normally do. She wouldn't allow me to rely on my flesh to get things done, but she showed me how to depend on God. She was the one that gave me the scripture. She said, the Bible said you have to love man, but trust God. And a lot of times we're so busy trying to put our trust in man.
Yeah.
But it's not that we're supposed to put our trust in man. I'm supposed to love Ken, and I trust God. I trust God that he will keep Ken. I trust the God in Ken. Other than that, we're both in positions where temptation is there every day, all day long. He's a judge. I work at a college. I have young bucks around me all the time. He have young women around him all the time. But from then all the way up until now, I don't fear that another woman can take him from me, or I'm not insecure in my marriage, feeling like I'm going to lose him, because I'm not playing not to lose. I'm playing to win. Yeah, and there's a difference.
Yeah, and that's good, because I remember with Damon and I used to have some. Well, I would like to say his eye used to roam.
That's good.
His eye used to roam, and that would put me in a insecure place at times. And when he got his eyes right,
Come on.
he then began to minister to me in a different way where this is what he told me. He says, as long as I choose to trust, long as I choose to, if my desire is to please God.
Come on.
And as long as I desire to please God, you don't have to worry about no other woman.
Yes. True.
Because my desire is to please him and to be a reflection of him. And when he said that to me, it was as if, okay. So if I saw anything different from that, right? His desire to please God changes and he begins to look different, then I'm going to worry.
Right.
But from that point on, I didn't have that desire to worry about, this woman and seeing that woman and thinking that he's looking at this person, because in my mind, I'm like, no, I know he loves the Lord. And his desire is to please him.
Yes.
So if I know that his desire is to please God, then I'm not worried about Susie, Tracy, Terry, or anybody.
That's right.
Because I know that his heart is in pleasing God.
Well,
so
I don't know nobody named Susie.
I
But
love it.
what I will say this is, one of the things that I've always told Shantae is that I value my covenant with God
Yes.
more than my covenant with her.
Yes.
Right? So when I stood at the altar to take my vows and to vow to love and to cherish and to hold,
For richer
I
or
would for
poor.
richer or poor, and sickness and health, till death do us part, right?
Yes.
I was making a covenant with him.
Yes.
And if I honor my covenant with him, she'll never have to worry about me honoring my covenant with her.
That's right.
Agreed.
Because to me, that's more important.
yes.
And not to minimize my relationship with her,
Yeah.
but I hold that in a higher esteem.
Yes.
And so because I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that,
Yes.
she don't have anything to worry about.
That's right. And I tell young men this. I said the enemy loves secrets. So when a young lady or somebody approaches me, and I know the game because I used to run the game. I got the book. When you tell me stuff like, Judge, if there's anything that I can do for you, no, you don't need to do nothing for me. But I'll come home and I'll tell Vickie, or I'll call on the phone. I said, this lady said this. And I don't know about you, but it alleviates something off of my shoulders, because if I continue to hold that in my mind or in my spirit, I'll find myself walking by the house, by the coffee shop where I saw this lady, or by the office door where I saw this lady, because I want to hear that. But when I expose the enemy, usually 9 times out of 10, you have no more issues with that person. And that works for me. I make sure that I expose the enemy when things come up in our life.
Yeah. And he also know how I come up there and black her eye.
Hello. But you know what? Damon and I talked about when we recognized how the enemy attacked our marriage, right?
Yes.
He would always try to attack our marriage with finances, right? So, and the word says, if the thief be found,
Come on.
he has to return 7 times, right? And so that's great that you know now how the enemy may try to come and attack your marriage, because the enemy knows your weakness.
Yeah.
He knows what your weakness used to be.
That's right. That's
but
right.
he's so shrewd, he will try to bring that thing back up.
That's right.
And he'll use people and he'll use things to try to bring that thing back up, right?
Yes.
But when you know how he attacks you, he won't be able to do it anymore. So now you know, hey, when this chick come up and she trying to, sweet talk me or whatever, I'm going to go right back home and I'm going to tell my wife what just happened. You know what I'm saying? So nothing can creep in.
That's right.
Nothing can creep in. Nothing
right.
can get in the window that's up. They got the little crack in it or the hole, and nothing can get in, because listen, enemy, we already know you. We already know how you gonna come.
Yes.
So I think that that's great that you know, you really, you know how the enemy will try to come and attack.
Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
And it could be years and years and
That's
years
right.
down the
That's
road.
right.
And he will try to attack you in the same way.
Yes.
But baby, once he be found,
Come on.
once he be found, you know
Okay.
how to
Yeah.
deal with that
Preach.
joker.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So when he come, you be like, I already know what you doing.
That's right.
I already know how you come.
That's right.
So if I know this is how you come, then I'm gonna know how to deal with you.
That's
That's
right.
right. That's right.
So
right.
And the other part of that is the humility part that I have to walk in. I never get to a place where I think I'm so strong that I can withstand temptation. I allow the Lord to help me with these areas because in my flesh I'm not strong. I will be lured away. I will be taken over again captive. But with what the Lord has done in my life, what the Lord has done in our lives, we can't be held captive. We slaves of Christ right now. We belong to Him, and He gonna get glory out of this great marriage that He restored over 26 years ago.
So let me pause right here and say, now's a great time to hit that subscribe or to follow if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify listening to this. Click that notification so that you'll get this podcast on a regular basis. All right?
Yes,
Thank you for that, Paul.
yes, that's good. That's good.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Vickie, right, is because you guys have been married almost 28 years, right?
Almost 27.
27 years. And the infidelity took place so early in your marriage, right? One of the things you guys do well is you're really transparent and you're vulnerable when you tell your story,
Right.
right? And so my question is, when you're often talking about what the past experience was like, does anything ever come back? Like, do you ever feel any type of way
Nope.
in the discussion?
Nope.
it's gone.
It's
gone.
dead. You hear me? There is no fear in love. I'm not afraid to love this man. I love this man.
Yeah.
You better
Really
watch
love
yourself.
this man. Yeah. I'm not afraid to love Ken.
Well, you're totally healed. We talked about this
That's right.
the other day.
We talked about it last night.
When you try to cover your wounds, you allow it to continue to be wet and it never gets dry. It never dries up. You have to take the bandage off and allow the anointing to heal that wound.
That's right.
Because if you don't allow the anointing to heal that wound, if somebody walks past you and scrape it the wrong way, then it will remind you. Then it'll send you back to that first place
pain.
when
The pain.
you first got injured.
Yeah.
But now that the Lord has given me a heart of flesh, has given us a heart of flesh, and has removed the hardness. Guess what? That other stuff, it's like He said, behold, all things have been passed away. And behold, everything else is new.
That's right.
So yeah, when you walk in the newness of life, you don't look back at the old stuff anymore.
Yeah.
That other stuff matters not. I get nothing out of what I used to be.
Yeah. And it's a place that we minister from now.
Yes.
Because we run into a lot of people who have infidelity in their marriage.
Yes.
We run into a lot of women who are afraid to love their husbands. We run into a lot of men who are afraid to love their wives. So the Lord it's like He's sharpening us. We're keen in on when fear is in a marriage.
Well, the other thing that we talk about is this, and this to help answer Dr. Damon's question is, we have established in our relationship that we're not the enemy.
That's right.
We're friends.
We are.
We're teammates.
We are.
We're partners, and we will not do anything to counteract what we got going on. So even when that comes back, I was running a campaign in 2018, and a woman came up to Vickie. Y'all will love this, and she said, "Your husband is not all he try to act like he is in the public. Matter of fact, he got a child outside your marriage that you don't know about." Can you tell the audience what you told that young lady?
I said, really? Where is that baby? We need to take care of that baby because we take care of ours.
And it shut it down. I
Shut
don't
it
even know
down.
who the lady is. Of course, I don't have any children outside the marriage, but it shut it completely down because she know who she is and who she is, and she knows she can continue to love me without fear. That even if the world continues to wave this banner of negativity toward her about me, she know who I am
That's
through
right.
Christ Jesus.
Amen.
And it has strengthened us. Like a lot of times we think trials come because it's some we did, some we deserve, generational curses, this and that. But when we overcome these things, when we overcome these attacks, then the thing that would the enemy put for us to stumble over is the thing we actually step on, and we go a little higher. So a lot of people give up when it gets hard, but that's not the time to give up.
No.
That's the time to really come together. That's the time for us to harmonize. It's time for us to for the two to put away 10,000 as opposed to the one putting away 1,000.
Yes.
And it's a perspective because when you injure yourself, you hurt.
Right.
But even when you go through rehab, the healing process hurts also.
It does.
So we have to decide which one sometimes when we're going through the healing process, it causes hurt, but it's not injuring us. It's healing us.
That's right.
And if we
Especially
have-
when scar tissue and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And if we have the wrong perspective on it, we'll think, okay, here we go again. He's cheating again. But it's really not that he's cheating. I'm just going through rehab now because it's something in me that needs to be extracted out. I'm in the rehab process.
That's right.
And rehab hurts, but it's taking you to a healing place and not a place of injury.
That's right. And we ain't crippled in this marriage.
Sorry. Amen.
No cripple.
So, go ahead, sweetie.
So,
Go ahead.
so what would you say to the couple that is dealing right now with infidelity in their marriage, whether it's the husband or whether it's the wife? What would you say to them?
The first thing I would say is make a decision.
Yes.
Make a decision. You have to decide if you want your marriage. The husband has to decide that if he's the one that's stepping outside the marriage, he has to decide that he wants his family, right? And then the wife has to decide that they want each other. They have to come together and decide that this is what we want. This is what we're going to do. You got to be honest about where you are, and then you can build from there. Because the thing about it is, marriage is not a answer. It doesn't answer all things. You don't have anything. Your marriage is only as strong as your toughest trial. So trials are gonna come. Right. It's just like Jesus said, offense is gonna come. So you might as well look for it. Challenges are gonna come in your relationship. Challenges are gonna come in your marriage. You might as well look for it. But it's not the challenge. The challenge don't come to take you out. The challenge actually comes to make you stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mindset. So I think if you have infidelity in your marriage, the first thing is you got to make a decision that this is what you want. Because you have some people that want the marriage, but you really do have other people in the marriage that don't want the marriage. And if your mind is not made up, then you're going to continue to do what you do. So you have to make a decision that this is what we want. And if you decide with an honest heart that this is what you want, then you really can build again. Because sex is only, about 10% of the marriage? Literally.
Look at the judge looking at you like, that's it?
He gets his
No,
full
just-
10%.
I thought it was 60. But I would
It's
say,
not a place where you can build.
No.
You can't build a relationship on sex, or on, that's just, sex is like the dessert after the main meal. But because if I'm not emotionally attached to you, if you're not my friend, if you don't affirm me, because sex is mental, then if I'm not even if I'm not attracted to you, I may lay down with you, but
But what I would say to someone dealing with it, give forgiveness a try. If you see how often we commit spiritual infidelity with the Lord, and I'm addressing this to people that know the Lord, give forgiveness a try. Sometimes things come up, and we tell couples this: if your spouse was physically injured and need to go to the hospital, what would you do?
On life support.
On life support. And they said they would take them to the hospital and they would sit there with them to wait till they recover. I said, well, take that same mindset, because sometimes people are spiritually sick and you need somebody to take them to. And the righteous doctor, the best doctor to take them to, is the Lord. And sometimes you have to stay with them throughout this process while they're on life support, because sometimes they're spiritually sick. So I would say just give forgiveness a try, and work as a man. I work every day to make sure that I don't ever make Vickie feel like that I'm not her security blanket.
Yeah. And we're the beginning of our marriage, but this marriage is bigger than us. You know, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of lives attached to the decisions that we make in this marriage. The security of our children, the confidence of our children. So it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know, and sacrifices cost. You know, you have to sacrifice something. It's bigger than you. So when you make marriage about Ken or myself, then we're at the bottom of the barrel. But it's a representation of how Christ loves the church. I mean, it's bigger than us.
Amen.
It is bigger than us, and it is a sacrifice because we are out of time. So we're going to end this podcast right here. We thank you guys for joining
thank
us,
you
the
so
Lou
much.
crew, Ken and
Yes.
Vickie Lewis. We
you so
really
much.
enjoy having you guys here with us this week. Hopefully, we did not bore you. You enjoyed our story. You enjoyed our laughter. Most importantly, you enjoyed our love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we'll see you again. Be blessed.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.